All right, hey, it's Rob. Good morning. It's a chilly Sunday morning here in Atlanta, and I'm here to talk about Max Champion. Who is the mysterious man that Joe Jackson is featuring on his latest album? Well, of course, I'm not going to leave you hanging in suspense. It's none other than Joe Jackson himself. Uh, so the latest album is called What a Racket. Came out yesterday. And it's supposed to be covers of this obscure music hall composer named Max Champion. And Joe supposedly, found these long lost songs, sheet music in a trunk, and he, brought them into the modern era. But we know, of course, because we know about Joe's career, that he's famous for doing stuff like this. And if there's any question, well, on the new record, What a Racket, there's a song called The Bishop and the Actress. And if you know about Joe's career, you know Sunday Papers, which was one of the songs you would hear on the radio that was released off the first record going back more than 40 years now, 45 years, I think, at this point, almost. And Sunday Papers had the line about the bishop and the actress. If you want to know about the bishop and the actress, if you want to know how to play guitar, if you want to know about the stains on the mattress. Now, the bishop and the actress actually, and I didn't know this till yesterday, is kind of like the equivalent of the priest and the rabbi walk into a bar. It's like a joke starter. It's like a typical first line of a joke that could then go in different directions or whatever. And so in England, you would say, well, the bishop said to the actress or whatever. So Joe didn't come up with it, but I find it very unlikely that he would have a song on his first record singing about the bishop and the actress, and then on this Max Champion record, he just happened to find a song that also is about the bishop and the actress. It is a very funny song on the latest record. If you haven't heard it, it's got a lot of crazy double entendres and things, come in my back door and deliveries in the rear, polishing your knob. I mean, this is not stuff you would hear from a songwriter working in the 1850s or whatever. So clearly, once again, it's Joe Jackson, and we're not surprised. Now in the United States, Joe Jackson, not a household name, far from it. I think Elvis Costello, who, they both came up at the same time. They both were called Angry Young Men, and they came from the punk tradition. I think Elvis Costello, even though they both have had, just a few hits, in the United States, songs that maybe you'd hear on the radio or whatever, but were not charting hits even. And I think Elvis is more well-known than Joe Jackson. So Joe Jackson is, like I said, no stranger to career detours and, making these hard right turns in his career. If you look, the first three records were the same band, but even by the third record, he was getting into reggae and dub, and that was, kind of a change from what we had been hearing previous. And then in 1981, he did a record called Jumping Jive, and Jumping Jive was a bunch of jump blues, jazz songs, they were actual covers of Cab Calloway and Louis Jordan. Great stuff, really cool record. And then right from there, he jumped into Night and Day, which was, another literally night and day difference from his earlier music. There was no guitar at all. Not a single guitar is on that record, and it was kind of jazz influenced. Pop songs, that's where he got his, probably his biggest hit, Steppin' Out. And Breaking Us in Two is also on there. As a matter of fact, fun fact, they both have the same hook. So if you sing Stepping Out Tonight and you sing Breaking Us in Two, it's the same thing. But both great songs. And other than that, and Is She Really Going Out With Him? And then I think Body and Soul, he had You Can't Get What You Want. But again, not huge hits. Stepping Out's probably the biggest one. And again, like I said, in the U.S., I don't think there are a whole bunch of people, comparatively to around the world, in the UK and whatever, who are familiar with Joe's work. So what is music hall? Well, it is an English tradition of songwriting and performing. It goes way back to the 1850s. And I think it's comparable to what we have here in the United States, which we call vaudeville. And you have to think about the fact that back then there was no recorded music. So if you wanted a popular song to catch the attention of, the people who would come and see these music hall performances, they had to be really catchy songs, they had to be funny, they had to be really memorable, because you'd only hear them once. You didn't have recordings of any of this stuff. So if you're lucky, maybe you'd go to a performance once or twice, but that'd be it. So these songs had to catch on really quickly, and that's kind of what the point of them was. They were upbeat and humorous, and they had a lot of, body language and things like that. We're pretty much unfamiliar with music hall here in the States, but the bands like the Kinks, that was a tradition that they would kind of replicate on their records to some degree, this kind of music hall style. Queen, if you know the song Seaside Rendezvous, with like the Waka 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 banjos and stuff that was on Night at the Opera, that's kind of a music hall-esque song. So it's a style of music that, kind of came and went between 1850 and I think the First World War. It's funny because my friend Rob does not like this new Joe Jackson album at all, and he said, oh sure, he found the most annoying style of music ever to cover. So, I could see why people might think that, who are unfamiliar with the music and where it came from or whatever. I like the new record. I think maybe it would have been a really cool EP. I think 4 or 5 songs for me would have been enough in this style, although I really do enjoy it. I think maybe a whole record is a little too much for me, but that's neither here nor there. So, like I said, this isn't Joe's first time, heading off in a different musical direction. He had Jumping Jive, the jazz record in 1981, did Night and Day, and then he's kind of gone back and forth into, traditional rock pop music, in a band format, and then he's dabbled in classical. He had 3 kind of in the middle there in the early 90s, Willpower, Symphony No. 1, and Night Music that were classically influenced. I did a Duke Ellington cover record in the last 10 years or whatever. And like I said, he's gone back and forth to style of music he's known for, and then, dabbled and jumped in and out of these different genres. So not surprising he would try to pull off this Max Champion thing. But once again, as far as I can tell, and I'm pretty sure, just being familiar with his career and the type of music he writes, that Max Champion is, in fact, Joe Jackson. So go check out his new record, see what you think. It's very different. Like I said, it's a real departure, just kind of 180 degrees from what you'd expect from Joe Jackson. But at the same time, we do expect this from Joe Jackson because he's been kind of a musical explorer for his whole career. All right, I'm going to stop rambling on here and get out of this cold weather and go enjoy your day.